Here's another excerpt. This one actually struck me as like the most jaw dropping and telling in the book, and it's where he's talking about his old friend Reverend Wright. And I gotta
Yeah.
say, during the 2008 campaign, like that was like that was the starting gun that should have let everyone know that this guy was full of shit. Is like how easily he fucking threw Reverend Wright, his own fucking minister, under the bus for like, you know, he just says here. There were times when I found Reverend Wright's sermons a little over the top. In the middle of a scholarly explication of the book of Matthew or Luke, he might insert a scathing critique of America's drug war, America's militarism, capitalist greed, or the intractability of American racism. Rants that were usually grounded in fact, but bereft of context. Often they sounded dated, as if you were channeling a college teach-in from 1968, rather than leading a prosperous congregation that included police commanders, celebrities, wealthy business people, and the Chicago school superintendent. So, I mean, what's he saying here? Like, Reverend Wright saying things that are correct factually, but are wrong in the context of saying them to people who are well off and like somewhat celebrated?
I mean, my thought about Reverend Wright for a while now has been that Obama's relationship with him actually mattered. People sort of tried to dismiss it in 2008 as like, oh, this is like a smear and it's trying to do racial demographic. And it was that, but like it did substantively matter. It mattered substantively in the opposite way that the conservatives intended. It was not a signal that Obama was like a secret radical or whatever. It was a signal that Obama was somebody who was definitely exposed to radical thought and consciously rejected it. And that matters a lot. And this is like the thing that's important about, people have laughed about the long-legged socialist passage and like trying to get people to date him in college with Foucault or whatever. And it's funny, but like it also like, again, should concretize our sense of Obama as somebody who is not unaware that you can make more radical critiques of the way things are. He's somebody who has been exposed to all of that, and for whatever reason has consciously decided that he wanted to go a different way in his politics. And that's what Reverend Wright means to me. I mean, he's somebody who I think Obama sort of glommed onto because it was important to connect with a black church to make it in politics in Chicago, right? And after he performed that function, he was no longer useful. So as long as he was performing that function, he was willing to sit there and listen to talk about the drug war and American foreign policy and all these kinds of things, while not really taking in any of it and really taking any of it seriously, even though I think there are a lot of people or most people in that congregation probably did take it very seriously and were willing to harbor more radical critiques of the way things were. So I don't know. I think that Wright is, again, I think, another window into who Obama actually is and the way he thinks about things. And you know, I don't think you can I don't think you can blame Obama's politics or his presidency on a sort of naivete about capitalism or whatever else. Like he understands the critiques and is decided to reject them.
Yeah, Obama is, I mean, he's been an operator his entire professional life. He always has been. I mean, Reverend Wright was not an unknown quantity in Chicago.
Yeah.
And especially not in Chicago political circles. People knew what he was about. He was, I mean, Reverend Wright is a very interesting and kind of benevolent figure, because another guy from Chicago who people try to tar the left and Democrats with, Farrakhan. Farrakhan exists because there aren't enough Reverend Wrights. That is to say, he's this specter of like non-liberal or non-democratic or non-Christian black politics that only exists because everything else in that space has been, you know, literally assassinated by the government or marginalized or just like put out of existence. And Reverend Wright is like one of the only options that people had, one of the only good options that people had. Obama knew what he was getting into, but when he needed to be seen going to that church, he was seen doing it. And I actually think the Wright controversy, when he became a national figure, I think that actually helped him with what he sought to accomplish, which was getting the cosign from the Democratic establishment and like David Geffen.
It was his own sister soldier.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
He wanted to show those people that he would shiv this fucking guy. This guy who kind of did a lot for him. He wanted to show them, you think the Clintons are ruthless? Look at what I'll do. You haven't even given me anything up front yet, really. Look what I'll do for you.
Yeah, I'm not going to flinch when you hand me the adrenochrome at the ceremony. I'm fine. I know I know what's going to happen.
Obama is, I mean, I think he may be a more cynical person than Hillary Clinton, because Hillary Clinton, I think she kind of believes in this bullshit. Like, whatever, like, weird meritocratic liberalism and, like, you know, the best test scores rise up and help cement the power, institute democracy all over the world. I think she legitimately believes that. I think she legitimately believes in the people around her and the importance of Clinton world. And I think the fact that so many people went down with her ship and she down with theirs shows that. Obama sort of only believes in his historical projection. He's someone who's been living almost his entire life at this point in the third person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's it. Is that he is detached completely from politics, because I think that the difference between him and Hillary Clinton is I think Hillary is, at the end of the day, she's a Whig. She believes in human progress and that she is helping it occur. Whereas Obama, I think, he's too conceited about himself to allow himself to believe something so naive. So he accepts he probably accepts like the basic truth of like a lot of radical critiques of capitalism, but he says, but the crooked timber of humanity cannot be made straight. The Niebuhrian like tragic notion that we are doomed by our own human deficiencies to this vale of tears, and in this world we can only do so much. And then therefore everything he does, his entire career of just taking all popular discontent with this buckling and wheezing monstrous exploitation system and smoothing it over and doing whatever it took behind the scenes to recapitalize the economy on the backs of regular people, and then getting a gloss on it and making it look progressive and making it look like to millions of Americans, making it look like progress and making it look like oppression to millions others, and never feel like you had anything to do with it because it was going to happen anyway. And wouldn't it be better for someone like him to be in that room than someone else who didn't have his exquisite soul and ability to grow and be enriched by these experiences?
Yeah, people. I always think back to the early Obama days when people would imagine, if they were conservatives, imagine Obama as Big Brother or Hitler in some cases. The most horrifying character from our cultural imagination that Obama most reminds me of is Patrick Bateman. Just a fucking empty vessel who knows exactly what buttons of affect to push for whatever group of people he's around, who is aware at his own emptiness.
You know what he is? He's a fucking prestige TV anti-hero.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, it's sort of a Don Draper.
Donald Trump is a literal reality TV cretin, and Obama is a figurative, and it has to be figurative because these are the smart people. This is the smart party. This is like the smart political tendency. He is an allegory for a prestige TV anti-hero.
And Hillary is like Sons of Anarchy. She's like,
yes.
No, fuck you. I'm loyal to the Anthony Weiner. I don't care what you did, Anthony.
Because they're from the 90s. The Clintons are from the 90s. Yeah. They weren't there to like get in hip with because with the new shit after the Sopranos model, they're just like blundering around Kurt Sutter style.
Yeah.